Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome to Talladega, to the Talladega Superspeedway, where tonight it is Upstate Al Smith in the booth with you, and we're alongside my good friend from north of the border, Kelly Dahl. And Kelly, glad to have you here in the booth with us here tonight, but we're really happy to have everybody out there watching out there tonight.
Yeah, no border restrictions on the internet, so thankfully I can be here to bring you this call, and we're here tonight with the United Esports Racing Association Hacksaw PC Challenge Series, and this series has been a bit of a runaway so far with John Jenkins. I mean, out of the 5 races, he's been in the top 5 in all 5 of them, won 2 of them, and has this huge gap in the points, but this is Talladega we're talking about. It's a bit of a wild card. It's kind of unique, aside from Daytona, that is, in that it's so different from all the other oval tracks around here. So it may be a chance for someone that's maybe outside of the top 5 in points to maybe steal a win.
Yeah, coming in here tonight, we have tonight's race being presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. And I've checked that out here today, Kelly. And if you want to see what it's like from inside the driver cam, well, that's what you can. They do great point of view videos on the iRacing of all their driving out there. So check out DMLC Racing Channel, the proud sponsor of tonight's race here at Talladega. And we were talking off air as we get ready to go. The keys to victory here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. We all know what can happen at the Superspeedway, but the 3 takeaways that I thought of was to stay up front, if you can get up front. No pit road mistakes. We saw a lot of practices of getting on and off pit road, and you know from experience just how difficult that one is.
Yeah, there definitely is some challenges here on this track. Talladega is a bit easier to get off of pit road because you have the banking on the apron just a little bit, just right below that yellow line. But you still have to try to get yourself up to speed, and if it's a green flag, stop. Try to figure out a way to blend in onto the track, especially if you've got some cars coming around the corner at 200 miles an hour while you're just barely getting up to 170 at that point.
Yeah, right now qualifying is underway, and that qualifying being brought to you by the Jerky Lodge. So Jerky Lodge pole qualifying underway right now as these guys just about halfway through the qualifying session. And it is Michael Krobach up on the top of this one as we take a look at the scoring pylon where qualifying sits right now. A 53.63 is fast time. We got some drivers going out there now. Eckert in the Jerky Lodge number 7 automobile. He has jumped up to that number 2 spot. So a lot of cars getting up to speed right now. One of those drivers is the number 54. Of Chance Manning, and he is up to speed down the backstretch as he works, or not down the backstretch, but up through the gears and into the tri-oval. What's the key to qualifying to put down a fast line here at the Talladega Superspeedway?
I mean, if we watch Chance right now, if he's doing this right, which looks like he is, your first lap is a burner lap. Your first lap is not your timed fast lap. You're not going to be trying to get a pole lap on that first lap. You're still trying to build that momentum, get up to speed. So you're going to come out of the pits and then just hug the wall all the way on your out lap and your first lap. And it isn't until as he comes off of turn 4 that he might dip down low, or he might just stay high off of turn 4. But especially with Talladega, with that the start-finish line being after the tri-oval, you can stay up to the wall all the way towards turn 1. And you're just trying to build up as much momentum as you can to build up on that fast lap. And you really are only going to get that one shot on that second lap.
Yeah, so up to speed lap right now for Chance Manning as he's going to come across the finish line. Well, the finish line not where it normally would be at, say, the Daytona International Speedway, but it is right there off the dog leg. And we're going to see some exciting racing in action. And I am in suspects that we're going to see maybe a photo finish here tonight as we watch Chance still out there on the racetrack. 22nd on that first up to speed lap. Ran a 54.54, so it's about 1 second off of the pole time on the get up the speed lap.
But yeah, he was also running along the wall like he should be. But I think a bit bigger of a deal than your line is actually how smooth you are on the wheel. The less you can move that wheel, the less speed you scrub off and the more momentum you can keep. So a lot of these guys are actually going to be cranking up their their steering ratio for this race specifically, and maybe even a little bit more for qualifying, because that's something that I normally do. I'll have it one click higher for qualifying, and in the race I'll bring it down a little bit just so I can have a bit more reaction in the wheel for the actual race. But Chance Manning now going to come across on that flyer lap, and that is going to be a huge difference. 53.684. That's going to be good enough to put him up in a ninth, I believe.
Ninth place there for the 54 of Chance. We bring back the scoring tower. Another driver getting up to speed. It's the 94 of Corey Silva. Silva doing a good job in that blippy number 94 as he works down here, down on the inside of the racetrack, off of turn number 2 and down the back straight away.
Yeah, I think he's just going to not quite have the pace on that second lap if he doesn't hug the wall the whole way around. So maybe he will stay. Looks like he will stay high at least through turns 3 and 4. So that will help build up a little more momentum on that high side. But I think coming down towards the inside on turn 2 might have hurt him a little bit. But now here's another strategy you sometimes see is you come off of turn 4 on that and they try to run down that banking and just get that little bit of momentum. And you're really just trying to eke out any little speed here on this track, especially in qualifying when everyone's running the same car with the same setup.
Yeah, everybody doing a good job. Silva going to put that lap in here as we take a look at that lap. Not inside the top 20 right now as he sits 23rd. Only 4 drivers left to get up to speed. And if they're going to do so, they're going to have to get up onto the racetrack pretty soon, as it takes a long time to get around this racetrack to get a lap even put in, let alone get a very fast lap like we're seeing for lap number 2.
Yeah, if they haven't left the pits already, they are not going to be able to set any sort of fast time on that second lap. So they better get moving at this point. But we're now watching Corey Silva still coming off of turn 4. He's been keeping it pretty tight to the line. It's been looking fairly smooth. So I have to see where he's going to wind up off of this lap. Now coming through the tri-oval is a little bit of a bump on that inside. He's going to manage that just fine. Kept it tucked in nice and low. That's going to be a 53.646, so it's good enough for 3rd place, I believe, but that's not quite enough to take down John Jenkins at the top of the board with a 53.6.
Yeah, 53.6 is fast time. Krobach in car number 72 sits 2nd. Silva 3rd. Eckert and Lee, your current top 5 in the Jerky Lodge pole qualifying right now. So there's a few cars left to get up to speed. No one on the racetrack at the moment, with just under a minute left to go. So I don't think we're going to see anybody else come out to get onto the racetrack here. So it looks like the Jerky pole qualifying is going to go to John Jenkins in car number 1, with set down a very fast lap at 53.60. But Kelly, you and I both know, well, qualifying really doesn't matter. Just a matter of where in the Hornet's Nest you are going to start here at this very long 2.5-mile racetrack at Talladega.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 strategies to qualifying here. Either you try to qualify up front and make sure that all the wrecks happen behind you, or you just skip qualifying like a few of these drivers have done, or put down an intentionally slow lap like it appears maybe David Moore has done, as he's 0.2 off of everyone else, just to try to stay behind the pack. That way you can kind of react to what's happening in front of you and avoid that big wreck that you might be having. But we are finished with qualifying and going to be gridding up now for the race.
Yeah, everybody's starting to take to the grid here, and this is what your first 5 rows for tonight's DMLC Racing Channel 60, presented by DMLC Racing. John Jenkins, we saw him pick up the Jerky Lodge pole award. He'll start on the front row. Outside of him in the Loud Pedal Motorsports, car number 72, it is Michael Krobach. Starting on the inside of row number 2 will be car 94, and that is Corey Silva. To his outside will be the number 7, the K7 Racing entry of John Eckert. Rolling off 5th tonight will be the number 9 in the Outlaw E-Racing team. Number 9 is Bradley. To his right elbow, the number 29 of Paul Pepper. Rolling off 7th will be 97 of Drew Carroll. To his outside, Jason Stewart, and car number 00. Rolling off 9th will be the 77 of Phil Locke, and rounding out the 5th row will be car number 54 of Chance Manning.
Starting on the inside of row number 6, that will be the 78 of Wesley Blanton. The 12 of Jackson Van Valkenburg will be starting on the outside in 12th. 13th goes to the 48 of Howard Strother Jr. And to his outside, the 41 of Tim Knott. Doug Mullins will be rolling off on the inside in position number 15 with Grant Brown to his outside. Todd Kirkwood rolls off in the 17th position, and Tyler Oren claims 18th. The 69 car of Adam Jersky will be starting in 19th, and Corey Benton rounds out our top 20.
Starting 21st in the OSR Network sponsored number 34 will be Corey Bodnot in car number 34. Outside of him, the 27 of Pete Baskins. Starting on the inside of row number 12 will be car number 007, that is David Moore, and Jonathan Cadell in car number 79 will start 24th. Rounding out the rest of the field in the 25th spot will be the number 11 of Tyler Seville. Outside of him, Gal Brooks and Corey Erdman. And car number 52 will ride shotgun here tonight. That is your 27-car starting field here tonight for 60 laps of heart-pounding white knuckle racing. I'm excited. I can't even get the words out right now. This is exciting for me as they pace here behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck as they work through turn number 2. Underneath this pace lap, we're going to go green flag, I do believe, this time by. So it'll be a very exciting race here. Kelly, if you're starting up front, is the goal on these super speedways to stay up there? Do you want to stay up front? Do you want to be the Pied Piper leading the pack? Or do you kind of want to be towards the back and try to miss the big one?
My thought process is always try to be as far forward as possible. It's much better to have the wreck happen behind you because then you don't have to deal with it. If you start all the way in the back of the field, yeah, you have some time to react to the wreck in front of you, but you still have to dodge it. So I personally think it's safer to be up towards the front, and it also kind of gets you in position to be where you need to be at the end of the race, because really that's what these first 55 laps are really going to be deciding, is just everyone trying to get in the position they need to be in for those last 5 laps where they can really battle for the race win.
Everybody going to do their best job here tonight. But up on the front row is John Jenkins. We know that race team has brought a very fast piece as he sat on the pole. Can he keep it there here tonight? 60 laps is the distance. We want to thank everybody for tuning on in here to the Turn 3 Racing Network as the pace truck makes the hard left-hand turn, and it'll have that very long creep all the way through this tri-oval till they get to the green flag, which will be waved by Bernie in the flag stand.
A very long time to wait at the front of the field, and John Jenkins is going to have a lot of really anxious drivers behind him, but he's going to be ready to claim this green flag, and we are going to go racing in the United Esports Racing Association Hacksaw PC Challenge Series. John Jenkins getting a decent start, but on that outside, that 72 and the 7 of Eckert really bunching up, especially look at the difference between that outside line and the inside line. The outside line bunching up very nicely, going to build up a lot of momentum very fast, and this might give an opportunity for that 72 machine to try to get around the one of Jenkins. But now here comes Corey Silva getting right up to the bumper of the one, but it might not be enough. Big run on the outside.
Silva with a nice push down the outside here. There, the outside line there, the 29 of Pepper working. Now they'll swing down to the inside. That leaves the number 20, the 97 and the 29 of Carroll and Pepper out on the outside line. So the inside line jostling door to door off of turn number 4. They're going to come down through the tri-oval. Kelly, we see them locking bumpers. How long can you stay locked up behind one of these race cars before the heat starts to build up in these radiators?
Depends on how hard you're pushing. The closer you are to that car in front, the faster you're going to go, but the faster your car is going to heat up. So while you're driving inches away from all these other cars, you have to keep one eye down on your temperature gauges to make sure you don't blow up, because you just lose focus for 1 second. You focus too much on the cars around you, and then suddenly your engine's grenaded and your day is done. But now that outside line building up momentum once again. Now the inside line this time is a lot more built up, has a lot more momentum, and the 7 of Eckert just pushing as hard as he can with that 72, but he won't be able to do that for long before that engine really heats up.
No, Eckert doing a good job back there in the Jerky Lodge number 7 as they roar off turn number 4 for the second time. You see them all even rows 2 by 2. We saw one driver jump out of line there. He lost a few spots. I believe that was the 78 of Wesley Blanton. he kind of was maybe not seeing what he wanted to around there, as these drivers are all jostling for positions. A little bit out of shape there, getting in the corner. One driver up the racetrack. I believe that's the 54 of Manning. Manning up on the outside of the racetrack as he is going to the backside of this speedway. He'll fall in behind the number 31 of Orn. So right there, you'll see that number 54 starting to go backwards, maybe by design, not up there where he thought he could be comfortable, as they are really pushing hard in the turn number 3.
Yeah, that definitely looks like someone that has decided he doesn't want to be in the middle of this pack early on. He just kind of ducked to the high side in turn 1 last lap and just moved himself off the back, now keeping a nice gap between himself and the rest of the field. So he's definitely just setting himself up to react to any sort of wreck, as he's anticipating these guys to wreck in front of him. But so far, they've been racing fairly clean, fairly calmly for at least a super speedway, but a little bit of a wobble in the field through turns 1 there. So almost a bit of a commentator curse.
Everybody doing a great job. They work down the backstretch. They come at you 2 wide, 1 car down below the yellow line. He's bailing out of that line. I believe that might be the number 34 automobile of Bodnot. So he'll move back to the back towards the field, not liking what he saw potentially. All we can do is assume that. They're not hearing race communication right now, but they'll work off a turn number 4. Everybody doing a good job holding that wheel straight as can be. Your Jerky Lodge pole sitters right there behind the number 7 of Eckert as they come through the trioval. These cars really starting to dance around in that trioval. We saw in qualifying and practice, Kelly, that was a very bumpy down there. And when these drivers are up to speed doing 190 miles an hour, that's got to be a handful coming through that trioval.
Yeah, just past the halfway point on the bottom lane of the trioval, there is a quite sizable bump, and if you aren't ready for it, it can catch you off guard. Speaking of bumping, we just had a couple bump drafts in both the 7 and the 97, each trying to push their respective driver, but now Paul Pepper, he's going to bail out, decides he doesn't have anything to go for the lead. He wants to kind of fall back and play it safe, so now that's going to allow Drew Carroll to lead the outside line, but at the same time, that also gives the outside line one less driver to work with, and we see just how much that affected that outside line as they went from being completely even with Michael up front to dropping back almost behind Eckert.
Already 5 laps completed here tonight as they work lap number 6. Krobach out on the front of this one has led it since getting around the number 1 of Jenkins early on in this round of racing right here off turn number 2 as they go down the back long straightaway. The 72 Krobach working the out inside, but here comes the 97 of Carroll. He's got the 0 of Stewart up his trunk lid as they enter turn number 3. Door to door, they'll come through the corner. The outside line, about 5-6 cars strong. That bottom line has the numbers.
Yeah, I think the 0 of Jason Stewart had been kind of hanging off a little bit since he wasn't the second car in line, so he wasn't pushing as hard. His engines, we got a car below on the apron through the trioval. That's Brad Lee. He's going to hang on to it, so that is a great save from that 9 machine. Now he's going to find a way to blend back up. Looks like he's just going to play it safe, stay below on the apron, and just use the banking on the apron to get himself around the field. But that was a very scary moment for that car as he was kind of in the middle of the pack and just got loose, it looks like, in the entry to the trioval about midway through it.
Yeah, very good save for the driver of that number 9 automobile of Brad Lee as we are on board with him. The driver out of Dilworth, Minnesota. So got back in line, but all the way back at the back of the field. 27th is where he'll get in line, but stays in that very important draft as they work down here off the turn number 2. So he is able to stay in the draft, and that is very important. You lose the draft early on in this race, you're going to be in trouble unless there's a quick yellow.
Yeah, you're going to fall back like a rock if you lose the draft and lose touch of the cars in front of you. But one thing I'm kind of watching is the 1 of John Jenkins. He's leaving quite a bit of a gap between himself and that 7 of Eckert, which is going to keep his engine cool, which is going to help him that if he has that opportunity to make a move, he can really push hard. As the Eckert has been right on the bumper of that 72 of Krobach, but every time they go into the corners, he kind of backs off a little. That 7 of Eckert kind of backs off a little, gets a little bit of air into his engine, but not too much. I don't think he'll be able to push hard for very long, as he's been kind of keeping a very steady pace with the 72.
Eckert doing a good job leading this one. As we look out the backside with the line onboard camera, you see the 97 of Carroll coming through the tri-oval, and at the line, it might be Carroll. Carroll will get credited for leading a lap number 8 as they race down here in the turn number 1. So a great push by Stewart and that 0 automobile as they work the outside through turns 1 and 2. Great driving side by side. We've seen one car out of shape down to the inside. I believe that's the 14 of Grant Brown. And now the 1 of Jenkins is bailing out of the front. So your pole sitter dropping underneath the yellow line. He'll come back out in that 14th position, but maybe just got a push or did not like what was happening in front of him. Said, I am out of here, boys, as they check up. So we're starting to get 3 different groups made around this racetrack as we are working lap number 9, going to put that into the books. So a lot of strategy getting ready to be played out here as we have 50 laps to go next time by.
Another big thing that'll happen here is teamwork, and I think that may have been the play for the 1 car as he dropped back to maybe group up with some of his teammates. Speaking of cars dropping back, again, we have a car bailing out from leading the top line. The 97 of Drew Carroll decides he's got nothing, so he runs off towards the back, and now it's going to allow Jason Stewart an opportunity to try to a challenge for the lead, and maybe the 7 of Eckert. No, the Eckert is going to stay to the bottom lane. He had an opportunity to maybe try to jump up to the high lane, stall out that 72 and take the lead, but the 7 and 72 have decided they're going to stay stapled together and work together for as long as they can.
We got the Fords. We got 3 Fords lined up on the top of the speedway. We got a Ford leading the race with the 72 of Krobach. Now Stewart will lead at the line by a half a car, getting a great push by the 69 of Jersky. Jersky working really good in that yellow and black number 69 as he works to the backside. The Cheesecake sponsored working the out back bumper of the Stewart's Farm number 0.
And now off of turn 2, they aren't going to stay lined up well enough, and that is going to kill a lot of the momentum they had. As it just looked like the 69 car was just not able to keep steady enough through the middle of the corner, and just wasn't able to stay in the draft of the 0 of Stewart, which just killed their momentum entirely. And now that's going to give the 72 and the 7 another opportunity to open up that gap a little. But now here they come once again on the high side, the 69 giving a hard push to the 0, but at the same time, the 7 and 72 again working hard and working well together to keep that lead.
At the line, it'll be Krobach still leading it. Eckert content with riding in that number 2 position right there behind the 72. Those 2 drivers working well together early on in the stages of the DMLC Racing Channel 60 lap here at Talladega. Down the backstretch, it is still the 72 Krobach, but the outside line starting to get some numbers up there, and as these tires wear out, will everybody be looking for a grip, and will they find it on that outside line?
The outside line there's numbers up there, but they aren't bunching up very well, which is what they need to do to be able to challenge these guys in the bottom, and they have to be careful because if they drop back too far, the 7 of Eckert or maybe even the 94 of Silva might decide to jump up into the high lane and try to take the lead. And now here comes the 27 of Baskins moving back a few spots to slot himself back into that second lane.
The Baskins will fall in behind the number 41 of Knott as they are still working like they were under pace laps 2 by 2 in the top 14 cars as they work down the long back straightaway. We see a lot of momentum being built up. The 69 of Jersky back to the backside of the 0 of Stewart. Can they make a run at your top 2? Eckert right to the back bumper, now backs off, allows that front end to breathe, and he's got the 94 of Silva right there behind him. The 31 of Orrin also coming up through the field. But Jersky is your hard charger up 14 spots so far as he started back in spot number 19 as they work the outside. Great push by Jersky at the line. It'll be Stewart right there in second. Krobach will get credited with leading lap number 13.
And Jersky's trying his best to push, and they are getting some decent runs, but they really need that 41 of Tim Knott to get up behind them and help them a little bit. He's hanging back a little bit too far. Oh, the 7 gets a little out of shape. He's going to go below the yellow line, but somehow going to keep the momentum, keep the speed, and stay in the second place on the bottom line. That's going to allow this second lane to maybe have an opportunity coming off of turn 4 We'll see how well the 7 of Eckert can recover and see if he can help the 72 of Krobach be able to maintain the lead off of turn 4. Outside line might have a bit of a run on the front straight this time. The 69 pushing as much as he can. Now he's going to back off a little bit as he may have just started to get a little too warm. It's going to be door to door across the stripe this time. And Jason Stewart's going to be credited leading the lap, at least on my screen, because timing is saying that they were pretty much dead even across the line.
Yeah, dead even heat right there. I believe it was Stewart, but now the inside line pulling forward once again. So kind of a yo-yo effect working on the outside of the line. Now the 69 Najurski tucked right up tight to the back side of that Stewart's Farm. Number 0 down the back stretch. Still top 2 cars nose to tail. You see the Eckert really giving the 72 of Krobach a really big push in the turn number 3. It has opened up your top 3 clear of that outside line.
Now, what's the 94 Silva going to do? Is he going to stay on the bottom or is he going to move up? He's going to stay there. He's not going to be able to move at any point now. So he's made his decision. He's going to cruise a little bit longer on the bottom. They're still very early on in this race, and at this pace, about midway through this race, they probably will need to come down for a green flag stop as long as we do stay green for the entire way.
Yeah, green flag. These drivers doing a great job so far here tonight. As one more driver bails out, I believe that is the 007 of Moore. So Moore going to bail out of there. Car number 28 works down the backstretch. So he'll fall in behind the number 97 of Carroll. That's for 17th and 18th position. So those drivers are working through the speedway as they work through the very, very high banked racetrack. Now the outside line starting to get formed back up. Here comes Stewart once again through the tri-oval.
Yeah, not quite enough for Stewart this time. They aren't quite able to build up enough momentum. That 69 car, he's giving some good pushes, but when he goes to cool himself off, he moves out too much. And as well with that 41 behind them not pushing hard enough, it's very difficult for this outside line to keep building up momentum as we see another car going below the line. That's the 9 of Brad Lee, and all these guys keep moving towards the back, and it may be a good strategy if you think there's a wreck going to happen, but if you just keep dropping off and making this front group smaller and smaller, you kind of reduce the chance of a wreck even happening. So these guys might be hurting themselves more than they're helping themselves.
Oh, big trouble. Manning upside down. He hit the outside wall hard. The 54 of Chance Manning comes to a stop. The back of the car shortened up as trouble will bring out our first yellow flag. Tough break for the driver of the 54 of Chance Manning. I believe the number 28 of David Moore involved as well. Also 007 in timing and scoring for that automobile. But big trouble bringing out our first yellow flag. We have a miniature big one in turn number 4.
And in terms of wrecks at Daytona, that was a very small one. Only two, maybe 3 cars involved as David Moore just got loose on the top side going into turn 3 and just couldn't quite save it on the bottom, came sliding. I think they may have clipped the 52 as well. I'll have to take a look at his car real quick. Yeah, I think they did catch the front end of Cody Ehrman, so he's going to have to come down pit road and try to get that all fixed out, because at Daytona, any sort of damage is just going to basically be like throwing a parachute at the back of your car.
Yeah, tough break there for those drivers involved. The 28 of Moore, hard contact. They're going to have a lot of damage to fix as he had to take the tow down the pit road. And it's good point out right now, there are no fast repairs in the UERA. As we come back to a live look as the field will come down the front stretch. Looks like everybody's going to come down pit road right now. At least your top 5 will come down pit road for the first time here tonight on lap number 18.
And this could be a bit of a shakeup here, as these guys are going to have to hit pit road for the first time this race. We may see a few guys just kind of overshoot it, which is very easy to do here. It is a very fast pit road compared to many other tracks with 55 miles an hour. Krobach taking a look now, looks like he actually overshoots it. So there it is, just like what I was saying. It's very easy to overshoot the pit box, and that exactly is what happened to that 72 car, and that's going to allow the 7 to jump him off the exit.
Yeah, Eckert going to be the first car off of pit road. The number 1 also of Jenkins overshooting his pit stop. So your race leader, Krobach, is going to lose 4 positions. He'll roll off 5th off of pit road. Orn in that number 31 will come off 6th. So a little mix up at the front. We know that Eckert seemed very fast, able just content to sit there and push. How will that car react here underneath green flag conditions once he is the leader of this race?
Yeah, Eckert will be the leader. Stewart still going to be sitting on the outside. Now it's going to allow Corey Silva to be on the inside, or he's been on the inside, but now it's going to be second place on the inside. But that outside lane is still going to have the alliance of these 00 of Jason Stewart and the 69 of Adam Jersky. These guys have been working together so far. We'll be able to see how well they can work now against the 7 and the 94. But they still will. The inside line is still going to have the support of that 72 of Krobach. So we've been seeing how well Krobach has been able to lead this race. Let's see how well he can push some other guys.
Yeah, and already the first yellow flag of the night. And we talked about Cody Erdman. He is down on pit road with that Toyota. Heavy front end damage on that number 52. And that's going to might be okay inside of the draft, but the good news is pace lap's a little bit longer, so the crew has some time to take and work around this race car and get it patched up the best to their ability here. So the crew working on that as the rest of the field works off turn number 4.
Going to be a bit of a long caution this time with this racetrack. I mean, once you get going down, we got a few drivers coming down pit road a second time. That's going to be the 69 of Adam Jersky. He's going to lead these guys down. The 72 looks like the 31 as well going to come down pit road a second time. We've also got the 34, the 29, the 97, the 114, the 27. A huge group of cars coming down. Looks like they're going to take a little top up of their tanks. They're going to try to just stretch this next run as long as possible.
I was just wondering, it's all coming in for our splash and go topping off as Eckert still stays out and the lights have gone out around the speedway. So a quick cleanup job by the track crew here at the Talladega Superspeedway. So a great job by them. But just wondering right now, how much is this going to play in? We see, we have Stewart, we have Eckert up on at the front of this one. Those drivers been there all night long, but now we have some new players like the number 77 of Phil Locke. We haven't really mentioned his name so far here tonight. He's going to restart on the inside in that third row. Outside of him, Corey Benton in car number 37. So we got some new players up front, and these guys will all have to get used to racing around each other as they get ready to go back. Green flag racing here, just about the 1/3 mark completed in the DMLC or Racing Channel 60.
Yeah, and with those guys taking that top up of their tanks here, they may be able to stretch the fuel just that little bit. It's going to be very close with about 40 laps to go once we go back green. So they're going to have to hope for maybe a caution or two and try to stay in the draft the entire time, because it's going to be very close on fuel if they are going to try to make it on the rest of the way.
Yeah, we know fuel could become a question. That's going to be 40 laps that they have to do, and not counting if there is a green, white, checkered that will come out here, Kelly. So can they stretch it that far with these Xfinity cars?
I think they might be able to do it with just the next 40 laps, but I think if a green white checker comes out, they probably will have to pit. But it is going to be close, and they are all going to have to be in the draft. If they lose that draft, it is going to cost them much more fuel, and they probably won't be able to stretch it. It's going to be very close.
Eckert and Stewart getting ready to lead us back to the green flag. Silva not in row number 2. Locke, Benton, Strother, Van Valkenburg, and Kirkwood and Lee, your top 10 as a green flag will come out, marking the 1/3 mark in the books. Here we go, single file all behind them. Those drivers all single file behind. So the 52 back there on the outside, he'll get up through the gears, but it'll be Eckert jumping on the gas pedal and getting through the gears.
Yeah, this time is the outside lane having a worse start, and a lot of these guys are bailing out. We've seen the 41 and the 12 already leaving, and it actually looks like the 12 may have left his teammate on the high side there, as that high side is now only 3 cars. The 41 trying to ease up a little bit and let the 0 in, but not going to work for him. He's going to have to try to catch up to the rest of the front two guys. 3 wide is the 37. Going to try to shoot it right up the middle. Corey Benton not waiting around. He thinks that 0 is going too slow. Got more cars trying to shoot up the inside as Benton Benton moving to the front and Stewart going to be moving all the way back as he's getting freight trained along with the 9 of Brad Lee.
Yeah, right now Stewart going to get some help there from the outside, but Jersky and car number 69 working underneath them. So we're 3 wide through the tri-oval. Everybody doing a good job. These cars more stable with fresh rubber on them. We really started to see them move around in the later stages before that yellow flag came out. Unfortunately, Moore and Manning still on pit road trying to get some damage fixed here to kind of salvage some points just in case there's another accident. 3 wide off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. Stewart still working the outside of the speedway. He's got help by Lee. One car out of shape. That was the 37 of Benton. He's going to find a home down on the inside line.
Yeah, just a little tap from the 48 of Strother Jr. is going to send Benton to the bottom lane, and his teammate in the 12 of Van Volkenberg able to check up just in time to allow him through. And this has allowed the 7, the 94, and looks like the 77 of Philip Locke to kind of break away from this pack that's all still battling. The 48 stuck in the middle now, 3 wide of that 0 of Jason Stewart, still trying to make that third line work, and Brad Lee is stuck to his backside trying to help him as much as he can. That 41 of Tim Knott on the middle. Oh, now we have a driver moving to the middle lane now. The 77, he decides to bail out from those front 2 drivers. He's going to try his luck on the middle lane, but it was a bit of a ways back to start catching up to those guys in the middle lane to give him a hand, and that's going to now start to form up, as now they're also starting to pull away from the 0 and the 9 that are on the top lane. Yeah,
interesting there. I thought maybe the 0 of Stewart had a hole in front of the 31 of Orn, unable to pull down there. Now the 41 up the racetrack. The 48 of Strother trying to figure out what the 41 of Knott is going to do, as they're all tiptoeing around the outside of the speedway as they try to chase down the 7 of Eckert. Eckert still hugging that yellow line, and that yellow line is your friend here at this big super speedway. You go below that yellow line, that is a black flag zone. You cannot advance your position by going underneath that yellow line. So the best position to be is right there on the bottom, hugging that inside line. Make them go around you on the outside.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. It's not going to be as detrimental here at Talladega, but you don't want to be touching that yellow line in the middle of the corner. It is a bit of a difference in the banking between the actual racing surface and the apron. It's not as bad as Daytona, where Daytona's apron is completely flat, but it's still not a place you want to be. You want to keep yourselves just above that yellow line, but at the same time as close as you can to it, to try to minimize your distance around the track. As now we've got these 2 lines kind of built up, and top line still kind of jostling around a little bit as they try to figure out now the 41 going to kind of move out of the way, and that's going to allow the 48 to move through.
Yeah, the 77 of Locke, though, moving up, trying to keep pace with that 41 of Knott, but he's shuffled to the outside, and he's got no help up there. He might be able to slide in line. He'll pull that number 41 Toyota Supra down in there behind the number 48 of Strother, so that line not quite built up. 5 cars on the outside line, everybody else working to the bottom, and now the 48 of Strother going to swing to the outside, around the outside of Locke.
This isn't what these guys should be focusing on doing right now. They're all fighting each other, and it's just not allowing them to catch up to these leaders. So they need to start working together a little bit on this top lane and start forming up some sort of line. But now we see the 41 trying to make a pass on the 77. So these guys on this outside lane need to figure something out, because this is just hurting them. Now they're dropping behind the 37, who may have a chance to move to the high side if he chooses, but he's got what appears to be his teammate right behind him that if he does clear, if that 12 car clears, I could see the 37 and the 12 moving up to the second lane, and it might happen here as that middle lane really dies off. And now here comes the 37. The 12 is going to follow him through. So again, this is what I was talking about. That middle lane was too busy fighting each other, and now they're going to lose a lot of ground.
High-speed chess game underway down the backstretch in the 37 of Benton, trying to bid for the race lead. He'll sniff it through turns 3 and 4. He's got the help of the number 12 of Van Valkenburg right there in the back pocket off of turn number 4. Drag race now the outside line. 5-6 cars strong as the top 4 on the inside have a little bit of ground back to the 0 of Stewart. They all jostle for position. Benton will lead it at the line over Eckert, just by the bumper nose cap. In the turn number 1 they go. The inside line, Silva glued right to the back side of the 7 of Eckert. And he seems pretty content not to try to pull out the pass right now as we close in on the halfway point.
Yeah, right now he really has no other option but to stay up to that 7 car and push as hard as he can to try to keep himself from losing all this ground. As that outside line starting to bunch up a little bit. If those 4 cars can really group up, they're really losing a lot of space in the corners. It looked like the 77 of Locke had a bit of a wobble going into turn 3, which cost him a bit of ground, which cost that high line just a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I'm noticing like if you're like the 3rd car in line, it seems like you get such a head of steam, and when you get there, you almost have to go high or bail out of it because you got so much speed going down into the corner that you almost run over the guys in front of you. So I'm seeing that we're that 3rd, 4th guy in line behind the top 2 leading these lines. Right now, Eckert doing a good job. Silva almost clearing the front bumper of the 37 of Benton, but Benton with a nice push down the backstretch, he'll take and challenge Eckert in the turn number 3.
Yeah, it gets very difficult to see your turn-in markers when you're right up to the bumper of another car, and all you can see is their back window and their back bumper. So what they've got to do is just try to look through the car, look around them, figure out where they are on the track, when they need to turn in. And another thing is if they lift off the throttle just at the wrong moment as they're turning in, it can shuffle that weight to the front, and that can get that back end a little squirrely. And I think that's maybe what happened to the 77 a couple laps ago going into turn 3, is he just kind of lifted and it transferred that weight and he almost lost it, but still able to gather it up. And now we're starting to see that top line bunch up again. We may see a bit of a run from the 37 here shortly.
And on the backstretch they come. They're still all jostling for position. Everybody in this lead draft here, 25 strong, as they work down in the turn number 3. 2 lanes formed up at the front of this one, and these guys are doing a great job with the pushing and shoving that we're seeing out there. These guys all putting it out on the line for you race fans out there. We really appreciate you tuning on in. Now Silva's going to dip to the outside. Corey Silva going to bid for your race lead. He jumps up in front of the 37 of Benton. That leaves Jersky down to the inside.
And there isn't going to be enough push from Benton. Benton not really wanting to help that 94, trying to look for his own way around. It shuffled the 12 out of line, though, so Van Valkenburg getting absolutely freight trained. He's going to be stuck on the high side while the entire pack goes by him on the bottom. He's all by himself up top, and he's going to drop all the way to the tail end of this lead group. But now look at the inside lane. Adam Jersky, a big push on that 7. That's going to clear him from the 94, and now even the 9 is going to clear him. So we may see Brad Lee jump up in front of Silva. Silva still losing a lot of ground as his move really cost that high lane momentum. Now we see a few cars shuffling positions. The 69 of Jersky, he's going to go for the race lead. And we all see the 48 shuffling into that high lane. Bit of a door bang between the 7 and the 69. And now the 48 with a huge head of steam. He's going to take the 3rd lane along with Corey Silva. They're going to cruise along.
Trouble behind them.
Cars going to each other on the bottom side. They're going to slide back up on the racetrack, and caution will fly again.
Hard contact. The 41 in the outside wall. The 31 of Budnat also involved in this one as he comes to a slide down here. Heavy right front contact with the 41 automobile of Tim Knott, as you see the front end totally ripped off the front of that one as they all trying to get pointed back in the right direction. We saw the pushing and shoving. We saw the move starting to become a little bit more aggressive. And well, we had a wreck down here in turns 1 and 2. And let's see if we can find out what caused that all.
It looked like there was just a bit of indecisiveness from the 41 of what lane he may have wanted to be in, as he kind of was sitting in between the 1st and 2nd lane. 77 had a big head of steam, so Locke tried to go below him and then just kind of got closed out from the 41. They bump and bang on the apron, which ends up sending the 41 back onto the track right as the rest of the field comes around.
Taking a look now on the replay here, you see the contact between the 77 and Locke and the 41. That sends him up the racetrack. The 16 also involved of Kirkwood. He was the one that got into the inside left rear quarter panel of Corey Bodnot, who was just an innocent bystander, which always seems to happen here. So that OSR network number 34 got shortened up over there in turns 1 and 2 to bring out our second yellow flag of the evening here at the Talladega Superspeedway, and what has been a fantastic race so far is we've seen a lot of lead changes, a lot of pushing and shoving, and your current race leader is the number 48 of Howard Struthers. They work off the corner. They're trying to catch up to the pace car. How about the moves? I was just about ready to ask you when that wreck happened. Do you think the 94 of Silva pulled out of line due to engine heat? Because we saw him really tucked up behind the 7 of Eckert. Do you think that Silva maybe started to overheat and had to pull out like that?
I don't think he had to make the move. I think he just saw his opportunity with the inside or the outside lane dropping back far enough that he could just jump to the high side, and that the car he was pushing would stall out. But really, he just kind of mistimed it a little bit because that outside lane was still moving back. They hadn't built the momentum back up. They weren't pushing forward, so he had no push behind him as well. And we saw the 69 of Jersky really kind of slot into where the 94 had left and pushed hard to allow him to kind of keep into that lead group. But some good timing though from the 48 of Howard Struther, especially as well with Corey Silva, when they just pushed around that high lane, just got clear of the lead group that was still trying to battle it out and trying to sort their positioning out, and got themselves right up into the lead right when that caution flew.
Yeah, we're going to go on board right now with the car number 48 of Struthers. He is your current race leader as they work underneath the yellow flag for the second time and down the backstretch. We just saw a handful of drivers come down pit road. Your top 6 cars have stayed out in currently right now, as they did not come down this time by. So they were coming to pit road at a high rate of speed. They just maybe a late opening by the officials up in the control tower to open pit road. They missed it. That could really hurt their strategy. But anything is possible here at the Superspeedway of Talladega. And I think maybe we'll see them come down pit road right now, as this race is past the halfway point, and this is going to be a barn burner to the end of this one. You thought the action was intense at the beginning. These laps start counting backwards down towards 0. That means the intensity level will ratchet up.
Yeah, we're going to have a few less cars in the pack after that latest wreck. And one thing that's may kind of help is those guys that topped up their tanks on that previous pit stop, because they probably won't have to come down this time. And maybe they'll have to hope for one more caution. They might be able to make it now, actually, off of this one. So we'll have to see. Doesn't look like anyone's coming down pit road this time either. So maybe these other guys think that they can go a little further on this fuel.
Yeah, we do remember Jersky came down a second time and topped off. Him and Tyler Orn are the only 2 drivers who did that back on lap number 19. So everybody else only came down on lap 18. That's a long ways to stretch it. They can save as the lights go out on top of this Chevy Silverado pace truck, as we're going to go back green flag racing next time off of turn number 4. So, interesting call there. They got to stretch it out to make it to lap 60. That is 42 laps that they have to go, assuming we don't go to overtime.
Yeah, but they do have a full tank. They aren't restricted, which a lot of groups do for the super speedways to try to promote green flag stops. But with a full tank, it does kind of introduce this strategy of, do you pit and make sure you're safe for the entire race, or do you try to stretch it out like a lot of these guys are doing that maybe have to hope for another caution? I think those that didn't top up will have to have one more caution. Those that topped up might be good to go now. And it was actually quite a large number that came down on that second lap around to top up the previous caution. So we'll have to see what those guys can do, but I think a few of them are still stuck further back in the field.
Definitely are going to be a little bit of a shuffle here, but you're going to see who's going to come through. From experience, as the fuel load burns off, the back of the car is going to become a little bit more of a dance. Would you prefer to have the full fuel load, or would you rather have less of a fuel load coming to the later stages of these races as far as maneuverability is concerned?
Usually you do want that full fuel just because it is a bit more planted, and it isn't like a lot of other tracks or where you want a light tank for that extra acceleration. It really doesn't seem to make that much of a difference, but it usually actually helps you to have that extra weight over the back end. But the biggest thing is just trying to keep those tires cool. You aren't going to wear them too much here, but you can get them really hot, which will kind of make your car dance around a little bit. But pace car now pulling off will be going green just in a moment.
Field working behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck. Who's going to make it to the safe haven of the pit road for the second time here tonight? We're going to get into the DMLC restart zone as they work through the trioval. It'll be the 48 of Struther and Corey Silva up on the front row, going to get up through the gears as they work down here through that. Now into the restart zone. Green is up. We are back underway here at Talladega.
Good start from both these guys up in the front, as there's actually a bit of a gap between the front two pairs and the rest of the field. We'll have to see which one of these pairs can build up the momentum faster, as we see the 31 now starting to close up along with the 37 to these two guys up, or these four guys up front. And now it looks like that outside lane going to get a little bit better of a push, but the 9 gets a little too far to the high side down the back straightaway, and that's going to allow that inside lane. Oh, a bit of a door bang between the 48 and the 94. So saying hello at 180 miles an hour, but here comes the high lane. Look at the 72 just a little bit further back. Michael Krobach wants to get himself back to the front of this race.
Krobach, remember, was the leader early on in this race as he works the outside. He's got the 78 tucked up behind him, and I believe that is Wesley Blanton. Remember, Blanton was one of those drivers that tucked out of line early, as we got him 3 wide, 4 rows deep in the turn number 1. Down on the inside, it will be Strother, but Jersky going to take the race lead as he leads the middle line, with Silva giving him a push as they work off the corner. Lee dancing around there, back there, inside there in that middle, and air really moves your car around inside the middle line there as they work down. Now Jersky cleared to the inside, chooses to stay in that middle line in the turn number 3.
Now he is going to drop down to the bottom, and someone that really lost out with really no fault of their own was the 48. He had no help down the back straightaway, and now more shuffling around after the 72 went to the middle lane. The 94 of Silva moves to the high side. He's going to try to keep up with that momentum with the 78 car and try to get himself back to this race lead, but Jersky going to lead another lap now that he's got a little bit of help on the bottom. So it's now just these 3 lanes trying to group up and try to build their momentum and build a run on the rest of the field.
24 laps to go here as the pay window starts to get greased up. We got him 3 wide, 3 rows deep off the corner. Now Lee makes contact with Strother. Strother is sideways on the backstretch.
The 94 and the 37 are also around. Caution is going to fly the 37 hard into the wall. That's going to end his chances at winning this race. And I think the 94 as well of Silva, he's going to get to the inside of the wall. So a few more of our contenders out of this race.
Big trouble down the backstretch as the yellow flag is flown as we watch it from the Hacksaw PC blimp cam. As we saw the action, the 48 got a little bit turned sideways, maybe a little bit air off the back corner, that he was swatting bees on the steering wheel. And that is all it took, and around A will go. But big trouble here on the backstretch as it all started with that number 48 of Strother. He got turned sideways. Let's take a look back here on the Turn 3 Racing Network replay to find out what happened to the 94 Corey Silva and what caused this big one.
Yeah, it's just the 9 and the 48 get very close together, and it may have just been the air, may have been a bit of net code. The 48 kind of comes up a little high off the corner, and really it's just a couple cars just trying to occupy the same space. The 48 managed to gather it, but unfortunately the 9 didn't have anywhere really to go, and Brad Lee ended up tagging a couple of cars in front of him, which set off the rest of this. And one guy that got away with this, very lucky, that's the 72 of Michael Krobach. He's going to be scored as the race leader right now, and nearly got turned around as it looked like the 94 Silva just barely got into him when he started to spin.
Yeah, let's take one more look here. We watch Corey Benton here. You see the 48 Strother. Then it is the 94 and the 9 make contact. And then Blanton up in the outside wall hard. Everybody doing a great job of slowing down to miss this. This could have been a lot bigger. We've seen that all night long, where what should have been a 15-20 car pileup has only been 3 or 4 different race cars involved. But a tough break for these drivers here tonight as the yellow flag flies for the third time, slowing us with just over 20 laps to go.
Yeah, it almost seems like the only cars involved in that actually got any sort of serious damage were the 94 and the 37. Somehow the 48, the 9, the 72, they all get away with that, and the rest of the field was able to check up and avoid these spinning cars. So I think it really is just those two cars that got major damages that will kind of prevent them from really being competitive for the rest of this race.
Yeah, we're looking down on pit road right now, and we see the Blippy 94 and Silva. Heavy front end damage to that Chevy Camaro. It looks like he might be taking it behind the wall as everybody else starts to file off of pit road. But up front, you mentioned it, driver that was up front early on, the 72 of Michael Krobach, back to the front. He's got Wesley Blanton in car number 78. Those two were working well together before the yellow flag. And how about this one? Grant Brown, car number 14. Haven't really talked much about that driver so far here tonight. He has been quiet, but he now finds himself inside the top three.
Yeah, a lot of drivers that have been playing it safe, kind of hanging out towards the back, are now starting to try to make their moves towards the front as we get into the second half of this race. We're going to be into the final third of this race here shortly once we go back to green flag racing. So be able to see a lot of these guys that have been kind of waiting, try to make their move, and we've seen that the 7 and the 72 can work well together. However, they're not going to quite be linked together this time around to start. We're going to have the 7 on the outside with Wesley Blanton, while Grant Brown is going to be the one pushing Krobach off the start.
If they work together, though, they might be able to pull away where the 78, if the 72 could fire a little bit early, that could allow the 78 to be able to pull down in front of Grant Brown, but Brown will have to have the restart of his life to stay on the backside of that HPP car number 72 of Michael Krobach. Is now looks like everybody going to stay out on the racetrack. We did have a number of drivers come down pit road as they are still out there. This time by the light should go out on the race track, meaning we'll go back green flag racing in 1 lap's time.
Yeah, it looks like they are starting to form back up 2 by 2 as we come across the start-finish line. And hopefully we'll be going green for the last time and get through this last third of the race. Right now we are going to have 20 laps to go once the green flag flies again.
Definitely will be. As we have a moment, we want to thank everybody for tuning on in here tonight. If it's your first time on the Turn 3 Racing Network, hit that little subscribe button as we chase down 2,000 subscribers. Hit the like button, subscribe, and get notified every time the Turn 3 Racing Network goes live here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. We have everything from the high banks of Talladega to the little bull rings of Lima Land on the dirt tracks to the South Bostons. Road racing, we have it all here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. We are your one-stop shop for everything sim racing. And, well, as you're enjoying tonight's racing action, please hit that thumbs up, whether you're on the Facebook side or YouTube side. Let these drivers know that you are appreciating their efforts out there. As I can tell you from experience, these cars are a handful, and the racing is just as white-knuckled and tight-gripped as ever, especially as we close in on the later stages of this race. And it's going to be coming to the green flag, 20 laps to go, and we know that the business is about to pick up a little bit more. We thought they were jostling for position earlier before this last wreck. Wait till now when they have 20 laps to go, and the victory lane separates them. That's all it is, Kelly. It's going to be whoever gets to lift the trophy up after this one.
Yeah, we still got a little over 20 cars, about 22 cars still on track, but really only 18 that are in any sort of competitive condition. The rest have a lot of damage that is going to really slow them up, as Talladega, very similar, but they're both very reliant on your aerodynamics. So you start bashing up that car, it's going to really slow you down. But pace truck now pulling off the racing surface, and we are going to be going green once again. Who's going to be able to make a move off this last third of this race? 72 of Krobach going to lead them on the long crawl down towards the start finish line. He's going to jump early, just as you said, trying to see if he can maybe get that 78 to come down with him, but that is not going to work. The 14 and 97 are now going to have a bit of a run. For the 14 can find a gap, maybe he can shoot between them, but no, the 78 going to keep him down towards the bottom. So Blanton in the end does help out Krobach, but Krobach just not quite pulling off the start that I think he may have wanted, but it's going to work out for him. Really not going to work out for the 78 of Blanton.
Yeah, Blanton stuck on the outside, had a hole, but here comes Stuart Hill's going to fill that hole. Now some help on the outside behind the number 78 of Blanton in the form of that number 27. Well, I thought it was going to be help, but the 27 of Baskin's going to jump to the outside now, working the outside in that third line. So those two drivers still will ride double file, now single filing it out. So the number 78 working the outside. Now Grant will jump to the outside. Grant going to take a bid for your race lead as they work down here. Grant Brown trying to become your race leader through the tri-oval. At the line, he will lead it by a bumper cap. Carroll giving him a push. Carroll back to the front. We saw him up front early on, and then he faded. He is back now to the front as this one gets closer to the end stages.
Now the 14 going to move back up to try to help out the 97 of Carroll, but look who's gotten back together. It's the 7 and the 72. We saw these guys in the first stage of this race really working well together, and this is the exact position they were in, first and second on the bottom lane. But now they've got some different cars they're fighting with. Now we've got a little bit further back, a third lane starting to form. Looks like the 62 and the 48 have kind of got a bit of a run. They try to build up that third lane and try to make a move towards the front, but not quite enough momentum for them as these drivers continuing to shuffle between the lines, trying to figure out what's going to get them into the best position for this last part of the race.
That's Paul Pepper up on the outside of the speedway, and car number 29 trying to make a move on it as he can. Now the 48 Stradler's going to jump back to the outside. Paul Locke in that 77 also coming back through the fray. Nothing going on the outside of the racetrack. Back up front, though, it is still the 72 of Krobach showing the way, but here comes Brown, and he's got a head of steam in the form of the 97 of Carroll. Carroll, that unsponsored white 97, doing a great job pushing Brown down in the corner. A little bit of a wiggle from the 14 of Brown. He'll have to gather it up on the outside lane.
Brown really has to gather things up. He's being a little sloppy right now. He's not quite keeping steady enough for that 97 to push really to his full ability. And that 97 was giving him a very good push. Carroll was pushing hard down that back straightaway, but Brown was kind of moving around a little bit, so he had to back off a little, especially coming into turn 3 where he moved around quite a bit and scrubbed off a lot of his speed. So that 14 just needs to take a deep breath, calm himself down a little bit, and try to keep that car straight and steady to try to keep as much speed as possible. It's looking now a little bit better down the back straightaway this time, and now they're going to start to build up a bit of a run.
And he's got the head of steam, 4 cars deep, and we know how fast the 69 of Jersky has been all night long. Is now the 97 of Carroll takes a peek to the outside, trying to cool down, get some air to that radiator as he was tucked up behind that magic number 14. Now Carroll down to the inside. Carroll's going to take a bid underneath the 14 of Brown through the tri-oval.
And this is probably the best case scenario for that outside lane because the 14 just was not able to really lead these cars here. And so we'll have to see if the 97 can work with the 27 of Baskins to try to get themselves around the 7 and the 72 who have been working just so well all throughout the night.
They really have been working very well. Will they be able to play nice all the way to the end of this one? Now they'll stay glued to the inside. They've also got the 0 of Stewart, and that Stewart's Farm Zero automobile right there to the inside. As your top row starting to get formed up with the form of Carroll. It'll be Stewart on the inside. They will roar through turns 3 and 4 and come down the front stretch. This is going to get exciting here as they work through the tri-oval with coming to 15 laps to go. If you think this one is over, you are dead wrong, as Krobach still trying to hold on to the top spot, but that 97 is very fast. Now the 27 of Baskin takes a pick to the outside, and that hurts the outside line in the turn 1.
Yeah, there's a couple cars that are trying to get that third lane moving, namely the 48 and the 62. The 27 has taken a couple peaks towards the high side. He is now going to move up there. He's going to have the help from the 69. The 69 is going to change his mind, but he's now got the 9 of Brad Lee coming up to help him. But as these guys sort up the lines, the 7 and the 72 get a bit of an opportunity to break away, especially now the 9 gets a bit of a shuffle, and that's going to kill all the momentum of that third lane.
Yeah, Bradley got shuffled up the racetrack. He'll fall behind the number 48 of Struthers on the outside. The 29 of Pepper also coming into play with that number 29. But he's got a little bit of right rear damage from an earlier event that happened. Also, Paul Silva back out onto the racetrack on the lead lap in the 16th spot. You see him right there behind car number 52. They all trying to get back towards the front of this one. So these cars are wounded but still able to keep up pace as they are in this lead draft down the backstretch.
Yeah, actually taking a look at the 94 of Silva, it looks like his front end isn't that bad of shape. He still is a little banged up, but if it's not too bad on the front, he may be able to still kind of hold on to a draft. He may not have the opportunity to lead a line anymore. He may not have that pace, but he can still push another car and still be able to help some guys and also be able to improve his position. But now we see the 69-97, bit of a tap in the tri-oval, so he's trying to bump draft, trying to help that 97 along, but it's a very sketchy place to try to be doing any sort of bump drafting.
And we do know that those three cars came down pit road on lap 32 as they work now lap 47 through the turns 1 and 2. So these cars starting to lose the grip out of these tires, starting to dance around. The fuel load is changing on these race cars, and that is going to make them even more of a handful as we got three lines forming down the backstretch.
Yeah, that third lane has finally started to group up and finally started to build their momentum once again, but just a little bit too sloppy through the corners just kills their pace once more, and they still can't quite build up enough speed to catch themselves up to the 72 and the 97. Once again, Jersky giving a bit of a shot to the back end of Carroll to try to get him moving along, and now we see a fourth lane almost opening up as the 27 gets shuffled up towards the wall.
Yeah, Strother's able to make a move. He gets in front of Brown, but he'll get shuffled out to the outside. No help in that third line, so Strother's moving backwards, and we just mentioned this driver. Look at the 94 of Silva, wounded in that last yellow flag. He has made it back inside the top 10 as he's right there behind the number 31 of Orn. Silva doing a great job. Jersky trying to take a look down to the inside of Carroll as they got two even rows working through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, and I had written off that 94, but he's got himself in a good position, and really anyone in that top 10 on the white flag lap has a chance to win it because there could be a wreck on that final lap, and if there isn't going to be a yellow thrown. So if he's able to dip, dive, and dodge and get around all these spinning cars that on that final lap, he may still have an opportunity to win this, even with a damaged race car. So like I said, he's got the pace to be able to push other drivers and stay in the draft, but I don't know if he can lead a line, but at the same time, he doesn't have to really give himself an opportunity to win.
I was just going to say, all you got to do is be tucked up behind someone and be able to pull out and maybe do a little bit of side draft to that race leader. Now the 7 of Eckert takes a peek to the outside, trying to get some air to that Jerky Lodge number 7 as he hangs right there behind the 72 of Krobach. Lap traffic right there dead ahead of him as they roar through turns 3 and 4, and once again down the backstretch. They're going to come around. That's the 34 of Corey Bodnot, who was in trouble early on. He'll tuck down below the yellow line, giving way to your race leaders.
Yeah, it looked like for a little bit that Carroll was going to have the momentum along with Jersky to kind of get around Krobach, but just not quite enough, as we still see these drivers bouncing between these two lanes, trying to figure out which one's got the momentum and which one's got the pace to make a move. As now we're seeing that inside line get a bit of a run and start to pull ahead as the 69 gets up to the back bumper of that 97 and try to push him along.
With 10 laps to go, patience starting to grow thin. The shoves are going to get a little bit harder. Who will be the winner of the DMLC Racing Channel 60 lap here at Talladega Superspeedway? We are about to find out as they come off turn number 4 right at you. And these guys are really starting to push and bang on each other. Something's got to give as they almost make contact in the tri-oval.
This race isn't done yet. There is only 9 laps to go, but that's still a long time here at this track. That's almost 9 minutes with the pace they run on these laps. So they've got to just kind of keep calm. They can't really be bumping and banging all that much here, because one wrong move can easily end your day and end the day of many other drivers, as we've seen before. So they've got to be careful, got to be smart for the end of this race, as we see the 69 get up into the outside lane to kind of get some air into that engine to try to just be able to push a little bit more on that 97. But really, this team of Krobach and Eckert, they are just almost unbeatable on that bottom lane. They've been working so well together, and Eckert has been just kind of putting on a clinic and just showing just exactly what you are supposed to do as the second car in line, while at the same time, Krobach keeping that car just as smooth and as straight as possible, not scrubbing off any speed. So these guys are looking absolutely fantastic at the front of the field.
Doing a great job, those top two, keeping everybody at bay. The 0 is Stewart there in that third spot. He'll start to work down to the inside as the outside line still not quite formed up like the inside line. Eckert poking that nose out to the right side, trying to get some air to it, is now Jersky gives 97 to Carroll a great push into turn 3. Everybody doing a great job. The pushing starting to get a little bit more heavy as they work through turn 3 and 4. One car up the racetrack. That's the 9 of Lee as he worked up the racetrack, shuffling out as he'll fall back off of turn number 4.
I'm really surprised these guys haven't built up a third lane, especially with us being within 10 laps to go, but it seems like these guys can't quite work together enough to build up that third lane. We see a few guys now starting to go for it. Now we may see the 69. I thought he was going to go for it, but it looks like he was just getting some air into the engine because he's going to try to push that 97 real hard off of turn 2 and try to get themselves a good run down the back straightaway. Going to be a little bit wobbly, though. And we see the 7 and 72 again pushing really well, working really well together to kind of hold off that charging middle lane as we're starting to see a third lane build up there with the 27, and I think that is the 11 as along with them of Tyler Seville.
Yeah, Seville, those two, Seville giving great pushes to the 27 of Baskins, is now they got the 9 of Lee, so now the third line starting to get formed up. That hurts the second groove as they lose some of the drivers that were in there. 6 to go at the stripe this time by. It'll be Krobach just by a half a bumper over the 72 of Krobach as they work through turns 20 and 2. That third line still up there. Tyler Seville trying to make something happen with that number 11 Toyota Supra.
Yeah, they haven't quite built up the momentum. Here comes the 48 now as well. They've now got 4 cars on that high lane and 4 cars in the middle lane, so they may have an opportunity, but now we see the 27. He moves to the middle. So these guys on the third lane, they aren't working well together. They are, every time someone comes up to help them, they decide, well, I'm not leading this line, so I'm not going to go with them, and they duck away. And in the end, it just hurts them. They don't have that opportunity to make a move to the front. They're getting that one position off the guy that they're leaving out to dry on the high side, but they could be gaining, 8 or 9 positions if they make a good run on the high side. So these guys towards the back of the pack need to sort their differences out, start to work together, form up that third lane, and make a move because they're running out of time with only 5 laps to go.
Got 5 laps to go, and now you see the 27 of Baskins back to the outside, trying to form that third line. He'll move up the racetrack around the 94 of Silva. 69 of Jersky, a little bit of movement out of him as well as he's right there behind the 97 of Carroll as they close in on a slow car who might hamper the outside line as they're going to have to squeeze play him through turns 3 and 4. Everybody doing a great job as they work through the corner. It is still Krobach showing the way, but all eyes are on this 3-wide battle off turn number 4. Silva in the middle. He's starting to lose the ground to this lead group as now they are 3 wide, 4 laps to go.
One thing to note as they make it around a lap car, who that lap car is, that is our championship leader, John Jenkins, who is not having himself a very good night. He's way down in 23rd, now 2 laps down, so this may be a good opportunity for some of these guys to close up the gap. Maybe Adam Jersky can make a few moves here, get himself towards the front, and really close in on the championship leader, but he's going to have to work well with that 97 and maybe make a move to that high lane on these last few laps, but that third lane just isn't quite building up. Oh, there goes the 7 of Eckert. What is going on with the 7 car? He goes way out.
I believe Eckert just blew up. We saw a puff of smoke, and what a move by the 48 of Strobach. Strother down to the inside. He'll move right there behind the 72 of Krobach, but the 7 of blowing up has really created chaos as we're 3 wide at the stripe, 3 laps to go.
And just what I was talking about, Adam Jersky. Oh, caution flies on the racetrack. Gonna have to take a look who may have brought that out, but that is going to mean Adam Jersky is our leader.
3 laps to go here. That should put us into overtime, I do believe. Forgot to check to see if there are any attempts at an overtime here tonight as we were getting up to the booth here, but I believe the yellow flag comes out for the 7 of John Eckert. Tough break for the driver. We saw him pushing so well behind the 72 of Krobach, trying to get some air out the last few laps. and it finally just went up in smoke. Unfortunate here for the number 7 of John Eckert in the Beef Jerky Lodge, car number 7.
Yeah, he was pushing very hard throughout the entire race, and I think that's what eventually came back to bite him, as he may have just been putting extra strain on that engine. May not have been entirely overheating it, but just getting that little bit, couple degrees too high, putting that extra wear on the engine, and finally it just couldn't take any more and let go going into turn 3, which is really unfortunate because him and Krobach have been working very well throughout the entire race, from pretty much the drop of the green flag all the way up until the end here.
And the field really creeping slow right now into the trioval as the pace truck waits to come up. The question is, who will come down pit road? Do you want to come down? Do you need the 4 fresh tires to have that maneuverability? Or do you have enough fuel? As it looks like some drivers are everybody elects to stay out this time by. Maybe pit road was not quite open.
No, you aren't going to need tires. They're not going to wear all that much. They may get a little warm, but with this caution, it will allow those tires to cool off a little bit. And if they have the fuel, they might as well just stay out, because even pitting, you're not going to have the track position, which is going to be so vital at the end here. And we are getting confirmation that we are extending for a green-white checkered finish. So the chaos isn't quite over just yet, and Adam Jersky can't breathe easy just yet, because Drew Carroll still wants to win this race after battling so hard to get to where he is.
Jersky last down on pit road on lap number 38, so he has, I believe, enough fuel to make the distance. Drew Carroll on lap 32 came down pit road as we get the lucky dog getting pulled around. I believe that is car number 34 of Corey Bonat, so he'll get the wave around in the OSR FMA Racing number 34. His night went awry in yellow number 2 down in turn 1 and 2, but he able to get 1 lap back here. It will be 1 lap to the arrears behind the field. But Adam Jersky, the driver out of Ohio, leading this one with a cheesecake, sponsored number 69. I don't know about you, Kelly, but I could go for a piece of cheesecake right now.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that could be the post-race snack for a few of these guys if they maybe head down to the 69 garage, and maybe he'll, especially if he wins this, he might be feeling a little generous.
Yeah, tough break for the 7 of John Eckert. He has been put on the pit road, so a tough break for that driver bringing out the yellow flag. Did not make it, stalled out on the inside, and just could not get hooked up to the tow truck fast enough. That was the reason for the yellow flag here. So we are going to go into overtime here, and this is going to be exciting. We saw the chaos that was unfolding once the 7 of Eckert got off the back bumper of the 72. The 72 lost that momentum, and the outside line just swallowed him up. Now the 72 of Krobach is going to have to restart in that outside line, and he's got a very fast 48 of Struther. And talking about Struther, he has not been afraid to make some aggressive moves here, and I think if I'm the 72, I would like that in my rear view mirror, knowing that he could be a good pusher to get us back to the front.
Yeah, we've seen that 48 want to make moves, so maybe these guys will try to form up that third lane. Maybe the 72 just pushes the 97, but I think after leading as many laps as he has, I think I would just assume that the 72 of Michael Krobach is going to want to make that move to go for the lead after being up front this entire race. So, but at the same time, Jersky has been doing very well, been kind of very solid towards the front of this field, and now has got himself in this lead group. So we'll see if he can get some help from the 31 of Tyler Orn.
Yeah, the 31 of Warren right there behind them. And then it is the Cowboy Magic number 14 of Grant Brown. Brown doing a great job running inside of the top 5. Struther will restart in that 6th spot. Corey Silva in that 94, very impressed with that race team. Able to get the car patched back up. He is running 7th after being involved in that big wreck down the backstretch. Pete Baskins in car number 27 will restart 8th. 9th is Bradley. Jason Stewart is 10th. And that will round out your top 10. Phil Locke and Wesley Blanton are 11th and 12th. Jonathan Caldwell Cadell, and Gale Brooks, the man that comes in second in the point standings, is running 14th. So Brooks having a quiet night in that 71 Toyota, the Western automobile, having a quiet night, and he knows that John Jenkins has not had a very good night. So maybe gaining some points here. 32 points was the separation coming in here tonight to round number 6 for the Hacksaw PC Challenge Series.
Yeah, now coming off of turn 4, which may be for the final time under caution, as we get ready to see the pace truck dive out of the way. Adam Jersky now having control of this field. For the final time, they creep down towards the start-finish line. We'll have to see what the plan is for Jersky on this restart. Is he going to want to try to wait for it and try to keep everyone bunched up, or is he going to try to maybe jump and bring someone along with him? He is keeping it nice and slow and steady. Everyone bunched up on that high side. Everyone's just waiting for this green flag to fly. Now here comes the 69 with a good jump. This may hurt him, though, because he leaves the car behind him. He's not going to have any sort of push, while that outside lane is going to build up with that 72 and the 97 pushing very well. So Jersky making the wrong call on this restart, and it is going to cost him, as now he's going to finally get some help, but it's going to be too little too late. That 97 and this, maybe even the 72 are going to clear him off of turn number 2.
Yeah, Carroll on the outside. He's got Krobach. The top 4 cars lined up nose to tail. The 27 of Baskins trying to figure out which lane. They will clear the 69 of Jersky. Carroll down to the inside now, holding on to that race lead. Krobach going to swing to the outside. This time off of turn 4. Who is it going to be? Seeing the white flag fly first. Carroll showing the way as the 69 of Jersky all over the back bumper.
White flag in the hands of Barney the flag man, and he is waving it now. We're going to see who's going to be able to bring this all the way to the finish. The 69 drops below the yellow line. He's able to gather it back up. As now we have white flag in the air. 4 wide in the back. They're going to bump and bang, and somehow nobody's going to go around. But that inside lane is going to have the momentum. Nothing on the middle or the outside lane. Now, are we going to see if Jersky's going to try to make a move? He's looking to the inside of the 97 of Carroll. Carroll going to shut the door on him, though.
Carroll doing a great job hugging that yellow line, being pushed all the way down the backstretch by Jersky. Contact behind him. Krobach 4 wide in the corner. 1 car sideways. That's Baskins in the 27. Big melee behind him, but up front, it is the number 97 of Carroll. Big crash in turns 3 and 4. Off of turn 4, Jersky swings to the outside, now to the inside. Who will get to the line first? They make contact in the triover. Carroll gets loose. It'll be Jersky getting to the line first. Jersky will win the race. Carroll will come home second. And how about Bradley rounding out your top 3?
What an absolutely masterful move from Adam Jersky coming off of turn 4. He knew it was just him and Carroll. He was the one that was in control. He makes the fake to the high side, draws Carroll up the racetrack, gets underneath him. Carroll tries to close the door on him just a little too late. A little tag from that 69 that he's able to keep it planted on that inside line, while Carroll has to shuffle up towards the high side. So just some fantastic driving from Jersky, and that is really going to help him with the championship.
That really is going to help him. He came in 3rd in the standings, 40 points back behind John Jenkins. He will gain some ground as Jenkins is credited with a 22nd place finish here tonight, as Adam Jersky picks up the win. As you see Jenkins roll by, giving him the little rev up, saying congratulations. And as they get ready, we're going to head to our post-race show presented by DMLC Racing Channel. And while we do that, we're going to take a quick break. We've been watching the United Esport Racing Association here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back here to the Talladega Superspeedway, where the United Esport Racing Association just got wrapped up doing the DMLC Racing Channel 60, and what was an exciting finish here. And we have caught up with tonight's feature event winner. Kelly Dahl is down in victory lane as he's getting ready to get the interview with our race winner.
Yeah, caught up now with our race winner, the driver of the number 69 machine, Adam Beef Jersky. And Adam, that was quite the finish. I mean, what was going through your mind coming off of turn 4 when you realized that it was just you and Drew Carroll left?
Yeah, my plans changed real quick there. Probably, like you said, probably middle of 3 and 4 there. I saw everyone wrecking. I thought maybe they could have saved it, but they were way too far back, and then it was instantly just trying to get that run all by myself. And Drew knew what I was trying to do there, and he did his best to back off also. But I was willing to back off a whole lot more just to get that run, and he raced me clean to the line, so I appreciate that. But it's great to get a win. I'm not the biggest fan of plate racing, so to be able to get a win at a plate track feels really good.
And you were talking about how your plans kind of went out the window coming off of turn 4, but earlier on in the race, what was kind of your big strategy throughout for the whole 60 laps?
Well, I didn't really know how the cars would be drafting. I did a little bit in practice, but I wasn't really sure what it would be like in a big pack, and so my plan is to always kind of get to the front and try and stay there and just kind of play around and see how easy pushing is or how difficult it could be. And it was kind of difficult on the outside. The car felt like it would heat up real quick, and you would just stall out on the outside. You could get even, but then the guy on the inside would get hot also, and you would just kind of ride around double file for a while. But yeah, I think for the first part, it's just getting a feel for it and seeing how the draft is and how hard you can push to kind of get an idea what you can do at the end of the race. And of course, it didn't matter with how it all ended in turn 4 there for a lot of people. But yeah, the big thing is just learning what you can do in the first part of the race.
And coming into this race, you were 40 points behind our leader. Now leaving this race, you're just 18 back right as we cross over the halfway point of this season. And how are you feeling about your chances for the championship throughout the downswing of this season?
I'm feeling good. I feel like I've picked up some speed here the last few weeks, and obviously plate racing, everyone has speed for the most part, but I'm feeling a lot more consistent, and I know going into the final race, I believe I get a bonus point for winning the race, so that's always helpful. It makes it can make the last race that much easier, or make it that much closer to hopefully get the championship when we wrap up in Nashville.
All right, well, before we let you go, Adam, who would you like to thank for your race here tonight, and kind of thank for your victory here?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for jumping in and broadcasting this. Got to thank Hacksaw PC for sponsoring the whole series, and DMLC Racing Channel for sponsoring the race. As far as drivers on the track, like you said, it was kind of on my own there off of turn 4, but I gotta thank Drew for racing me clean, because he could have done a whole lot of stuff out there, and he raced me clean, and I appreciate that. And of course, I got to thank Beef Jersey's Cheesecake Emporium for being on the car also.
All right, well, congratulations once again on your win here, Adam, and hopefully you'll have some more success throughout the rest of this season.
Yep, great. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
That was Adam Jersky, driver of the number 69 machine, and our winner here tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway. Now, handing it back over to Al, I believe you're going to be catching up with our second place finish.
Yeah, catching up down here on pit road with the number 97 of Drew Carroll. And Drew, you started up towards the front. You're up front early, then kind of went back out of design, it looked like, and then you're up front. This 97 very fast for not having any decals on it. But what else could you have done to hold off that 69 coming to the checkered flag?
There's not a whole lot you could do with plate racing like this. You kind of just got to hopefully keep that guy that's behind you on your bumper, and try to hopefully not get a run. I knew he was going to have it. I saw those guys wrecking. I didn't know who he had behind him, so I was just trying to focus on him. I did all I could. Probably going to go back and look at things I could have done different, but Adam raced me clean. He did a good job. I tried crowding him, and just a little bit of contact there. It happens. Congrats to him. He did what he needed to do to win. But yeah, like you said, we went to the back, just try to see what we had for a car. This whole deal kind of got put together pretty quick, so we wanted to make sure we had what we needed to get up front. Just kind of found our way back up to the front and in right position. So you can't really ask for anything more out of Super Speedway race for sure. Just being able to get up that far and be that in contention for a win like that is almost a win in itself. So.
Yeah, it's 60 laps, a long, grueling time here at Talladega Superspeedway. Only slowed 4 times, and we were talking about pit strategy and all that in the race, and then the yellow flags kind of nipped that one in the behind. But you got shuffled up there to the outside on that last restart. And did you think that the 72? He had 72 Krobach. We saw him fast all night long. He had a good push from him. Did you think that maybe if everything stayed together that you were going to be in victory lane?
Yeah, absolutely. Krobach's a team owner, Loud Pedal Motorsports, and I was driving for them. So he kind of had a game plan going into that last restart where it was, try to get backed up to him and see what we could do. But then it was just kind of once you get hit that white flag, it's, every man for himself there. So we kind of played the restart how we wanted to. I felt like we really played the game like we wanted to, got ourselves out front. And then it just happened to be protecting. And, sometimes, like I said, you can only hope for so much coming off turn 4 at Talladega. Do I wish I had a teammate behind me at that point? Yeah, but like I said, it was a good run for us. I had a lot of fun racing with these guys. My first race here. Talladega is always a beast, and to come out with a clean car in second is, like I said, pretty close to a win. So.
Yeah, very good job here. So clean car. No sponsors on that car yet, but I know there's a got to be a list of people you got to thank here tonight.
Yeah, we didn't have time to throw sponsors on it, but I'd like to thank Thumbs Up Cancer Down for supporting me, not only in this coming league and then a couple of leagues that I do. I want to thank Loud Pedal Motorsports for giving me the opportunity and showing me this league tonight. Also want to thank Michael Krobach, Brian Yazik, everybody in our Discord that helps me out every week. Hopefully we'll be back next week and see what we can do.
Sounds good. That's your second place finisher here tonight. Almost had it, Kelly. Daryl Carroll will come home in spot number 2. And I believe you caught up with our third place driver here, the number 9, down here on pit road.
Caught up now with our third place finisher, Brad Lee, in the number 9. Brad, I think the first question I've got to ask, how did you survive that final corner?
Man, I really have no idea. It's just I was trying to hang on for a top 10. I know the 31 and the 27, I believe, got together a little bit. The seas parted, and I just tried to hold it as straight as I could, and I made it through and ended up in third. But it was not easy. It was just hang on to it.
Yeah, taking a look at it now, looks like you get hit by 2 different cars. Actually, maybe even get a bit of a kiss from the 27 as well. So somehow you managed to get through that. I mean, what was going through your head when you suddenly see this huge mass of cars wrecking behind you?
I was thinking all I had to do was just hang on to the end. That's what it was all about at that point. You know, it was just finish where you can because you've got a damaged car already. You weren't going to chase the front 2 down in a half a lap, so it's just try to defend your position.
But going back just a few laps before that, as we were all kind of shuffling around for position, what was your kind of attempt to make your way up towards the front to close this race out?
There was a couple times we had a couple guys would go up and make the third lane up high. For me, my car wasn't handling real well up there. I had to drop down, get away from. I just went down to the bottom to try to get by as many cars as I could. You know, move up to the middle, drive back down to the bottom if you can. That's about all I could do.
All right, well, next week we are going to be moving on from one of the biggest tracks, possibly it is the biggest track of the season, going down all the way from the high banks of Talladega down to Milwaukee. And what is kind of your feeling about going to the mile next?
I don't know. I like the mile tracks. It's more of a driver's track. I may not be as much of a driver as the rest of the guys in this field, but I'll try and hang on and finish as good as I can.
All right, Brad, but before we let you go, who would you like to thank for your third place finish tonight?
I'd like to thank one of my sponsors, LSDI Racing Paints, also Hacksaw PCs for sponsoring this whole league, the guys at UERA for putting this league on, for all they do, all the hard work they do, and also you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming by and talking to us, Brad, and congratulations once again on your third place finish, and good luck to you next week in Milwaukee.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
That was Brad Lee, driver of the number 9 machine and our third place finisher here tonight at the DMLC Racing Channel 60. Al, gonna send it back to you after we've talked to all our top 3 drivers and maybe some closing thoughts here tonight.
Yeah, just taking and watching that wreck is Brad Lee. You were talking to him, watching him get through there somehow, some fashion, come home in that third spot. Talk about a big wreck right there. That one was very big. A lot of drivers involved. I just want to say thank you to the United Esport Racing Association for allowing us to come in here tonight and short notice to get these guys on the broadcast. Want to thank them for being part of the Turn 3 Racing Network family here tonight, and hopefully that everybody out there watching had a great time watching them do battle out here at the Talladega Superspeedway, one of the tracks that are a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, Kelly? Escapes me. A little bit terrifying for myself because I usually stick to the short track ranks and stuff, but I'm glad that we could get these guys and saw a great race. I mean, 4 yellow flags over 60 laps here tonight, and it saw a photo finish where they had a little bit of contact, and well, the 69 of Adam Jersky going to victory lane. Couldn't ask for much more than that here at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, it really was a fantastic race, and you couldn't ask for a more exciting finish as we had that one-on-one drag race to the start-finish line after that massive accident. And for the most part, this was a fairly clean race. We had only a couple cautions throughout the course of this race, and one of them was actually just caused by a car that had blown its engine that couldn't quite make it all the way back to the pits. So kudos on these guys, especially since most of the wrecks, other than the final wreck, which was, it's kind of expected that everyone's just going to pile into that as they try to do any last ditch attempt. But most of the other wrecks were only involving 2-3 cars. So these guys were doing some very good racing, some very smart heads up racing, and really Adam Jersky deserved this win. He raced very well, kept his nose clean, and just was in the right place at the right time to make a move at the end.
Definitely was, and we want to thank everybody here on behalf of the United Esport Racing Association for watching the Hacksaw PC Challenge Series here tonight, where it was Adam Jersky picking up the win. As we take a look and show you the results real quick of your rundown here tonight of this race, and it was Adam Jersky picking up the win. Drew Carroll, Bradley, Grant Brown, and Jonathan Cadell in the Steel Horse Racing Car 79 rounding out the top 5. How about Todd Kirkwood there in spot number 6? Quiet all night long, but able to come in and finish in that 6th spot here. So a lot to see where your favorite driver is on there, Kelly. I want to thank you for coming on in short notice as well and being my partner in crime up here in the booth. Hopefully you've had a good time here tonight.
Yeah, it was a great time. I always enjoy the super speedways, and it's not very often that I get to call a race here at the super speedways. Normally, I'm working for you in your league, calling the short track guys. So it's great to kind of be in my wheelhouse and be able to watch a race here at Talladega. And these guys, like I said, they put on a heck of a show, and it was a fantastic race. And I hope everyone that watched it enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed calling it.
Definitely. What I would like to thank everybody is on behalf of Hacksaw PCs, the Jerky Lodge, along with Wine and DMLC Racing Channel for tonight's race here tonight on the Turn 3 Racing Network. My name is Al Smith. They call me Upstate Al. We are proud to bring you all tonight's racing action. And until next time, keep it wheels down, and we will see you at the racetrack.